Oh, there it is. Every Google Hangout video starts with someone going, "Oh, okay, now it's live."
Hey, how far down can you see on me? It's about here?
I see just the shoulders of the guys on your chest.
Okay, cool. So I don't need to put pants on.
Right.
Okay, good.
I thought about that I just showered before I ran down here, and I was like, do I want to put like pants on? I was like, oh, I got pajama pants right there. Those count. Pajama pants and slippers. Yeah. Ta-da!
Next time, let's just do the podcast from the shower, because that's where I come up with a lot of good ideas.
Yeah, I need like a board I can write on in there. I'll do that though. I'll like rush out of the shower, just naked with a towel, just like a cape behind me, with a give me a pen. I gotta write this down. I got a great idea.
Yeah, as soon as phones are just standard waterproof, they just come waterproof as a standard feature. Mm-hmm. I will definitely have my phone in there taking notes all the time.
Oh, definitely. Someday. Oh, why can't the future be now? I say that when I've got like 3 computers within touching distance. One of them fits in my pocket. Why aren't you waterproof? Might as well be a rock. It's useless to me. Cool. Got some good questions lined up. Do I need this keyboard? No, I don't think I do. I have more than one keyboard in front of me. This is ridiculous. Got my... All right. People are starting to show up, so I think I'm going to get us started. You ready?
Yes. I'm just getting my keyboard. It's a new one I got. It's pretty hot.
Wow.
High tech
stuff, yeah. All right. Hey, everybody. It's Bill Duran here from Punished Props, and welcome to Prop Live on a Friday this week. A little schedule change from the norm because of the Avengers yesterday. Welcome to Prop Live. This is the show where we take your prop and costume making questions and answer them to the best of your ability, best of our abilities. And this week, we have a super fun guest, buddy of mine named Micah from Beat Down Boogie. Hey, Micah. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing better. I was sick this week, but I'm on the upswing. I felt fully rejuvenated after going to see the new Avengers movie last night. I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good. I haven't seen the Avengers movie, though, so hit me with some spoilers.
I'm not going to be that guy. It was really, really fun. And, of course, I want to build all the things from the Avengers. But you've already done it. Basically, you've done all the Avengers stuff that you really need, right?
Yeah, I just made an Avengers short film called Fu Avengers, where the Avengers go into like basically a 70s and 80s kung fu movie from Hong Kong and beat each other down. It's based on the Civil War comics.
Yeah, loosely.
Somewhat.
With your buddies, your compadres that we had out here in Seattle just a month or so ago.
Yep, Brian Lee and Matthew Sumner.
Here you go. Folks can check it out. If you go to youtube.com/beatdownboogie, you can check out this really fun piece of fan film that these guys did recently. It's definitely worth a gander. Lots of really good action, some fun costumes, cool stuff. Yeah. You guys, so what did you take it, or what did you, let me start over again. What did it take to shoot that? Was that all in like one day? Did you crank that all out?
Yeah, all the footage you end up seeing in there, we shot in a day. We were going to shoot the day before a little bit, but we kind of got started late, so we just turned it into a dress rehearsal for a couple hours. And then there's a couple shots like the one with me raking the lawn, we just shot on a different day. But as far as the main fight, we shot it all in one day. A lot in the early morning, a lot in the evening to kind of get the best lighting.
Yeah, that was really cool. Definitely worth checking out. So folks at home, definitely go watch Kung Fu Avengers. And with that, you also started or have had going, but started to push your new Patreon, right?
Yep.
Want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I guess it's pretty simple. I mean, we make crazy little short films, and we also go to conventions, geeky conventions, Comicons and stuff, and film cosplay and just film anything that I think would be interesting for an audience. And over the years, people have asked us how to contribute to the cause for us to make more videos. But I've always been that artist that's not very good at business, and I've just been like, well, I'll figure something out, but I'm too busy working on projects right now, too busy doing my art. And now we finally have a Patreon where people can go and help us make more videos and help us make bigger, better videos. I definitely have a lot of ideas for stuff that has just been out of our budget, but now we might be able to do some things of a grander scope, or some other types of costumes that we were never able to achieve before.
Yeah, cool. That's really, folks, go look up Beat Down Boogie on Patreon or patreon.com/beatdownboogie. That really is the powerful aspect of a platform like Patreon, is people who are already fans of your work, who can go view all of your work for free on YouTube. If they want a way to help make it better, they can do that. And if you get a lot of them, then you get some really cool stuff, like a Dragon Con cosplay supercut video and lots of really cool other things. And I'm going to become a patron right now. Click.
Awesome.
And I have to log in, though, so I'm not going to share that on the screen. Cool. Awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. Looks like you've already got some people jumping on, and I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll be able to start a new web series, which I think that's our most popular thing we do on our channel, is when we do web series. But they're very expensive, and they take a really long time. But hopefully we can start a new one in this coming year.
Cool. The last thing I have on here for you is you were just at C2E2, right?
Yes. It's kind of a last minute thing. I've never been to Chicago before and never been to C2E2 before, but it was really cool. Got to hang out with a lot of Midwest cosplayers. I teamed up with Autodesk at the last second, who I know from making CAD and Maya software, but they also make Sketchbook, which is super cool. It's like you can draw stuff on tablets. It shows up on your computer, and they're also pushing a free photo app they have called Pixlr. I know it sounds like I'm just marketing them right now, but they actually ended up being like a super cool team of people who are actually really chill, really passionate about comic books and art and cosplay. And the whole reason they got me out to Chicago was it was a new event for them that they were working at, and they just weren't sure who was going to be out there filming it. So they found me and liked what I did and just brought me out to just make sure there was coverage of the convention.
That's pretty cool. Sounds a lot like what you did at Emerald City.
Very true.
I imagine that. Did you meet them at Emerald City?
No, they were at Emerald City, so
yeah.
I think that's where they found out about me.
Yeah, I got to go hang out with them in their home base in San Francisco a week or two ago. That was awesome. They have all the cool toys at Autodesk HQ. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, I've got just one thing going on here. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. We've got a sale going on punishprops.com this whole weekend. It's springtime. Everything's wonderful, especially out here in Seattle. I have the door open. I can see outside. I don't want to go outside. That would be crazy, but I can see it. And we're like, hey, let's have a springtime sale. So if you go to punishprops.com and you go down, you can see, oh my goodness, spring sale, 40 or 30% off all Punish Props digital files, blueprints, and ebooks. So until, I don't know, Sunday night, we'll have that wonderful sale going. So if folks are looking to get like my Foamsmith trilogy in digital form or any of the blueprint files that I have, go grab them this weekend and get yourself a wonderful deal. Other than that, I say it's time we start answering questions. What do you think, Micah?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Let's start. We got some good ones that came in earlier today on my Facebook page. This one's from Steven. He says, would it be possible to seal foam with acrylic latex caulk? It's flexible, and I think it would provide a good sealing layer. Have you done much with foam stuff at all, Micah?
Uh, the only stuff I've done with foam is I had some just blocks of foam that I got from the craft store that I cut rocks out of for our Assassin's Creed parody. And then I've used that great stuff expanding foam for a number of things. The one thing you'll find out about me is I have no idea how to make props and costumes. But yet I have to, because I have these ideas for films. And so when most people are at the fabric store, I'm just at Home Depot because that's what I know. Just stapling cloth together, super gluing things, just using all the wrong material to make props.
All right. Well, I'll answer the question about foam then. I've never used something like latex caulk to seal foam. I see where Stephen is getting at with it, but I feel like applying it to foam would be tricky. Almost like applying, I don't know, cake icing. Like you'd need to spread it on somehow, and then keeping it a smooth finish on it, I think would be really, really challenging. If you're going to try it on some test pieces first, because it may prove to be a little difficult to apply than you might hope. That's all. That's all I've got to say about that one. All right. Here's one from Epic Studio. Question is, I have just about a completed detailed Halo assault rifle out of foam and insulation board. Would this be safe to use to make a mold? I'm gonna probably field this one too. Actually, have you done much mold making, Micah?
I prefer Jello molds. That's what I would recommend, because you use other types of molds. I mean, what are you gonna have left over? Maybe some resin or something. What can you do with that? Yeah, Jello left over. You can make shots. So I recommend a Jello mold for this. You can, I mean, maybe you have a difference of opinion. You can let him know what you think.
I'll see. Let's see. Yes, you can make anything. You could mold anything, but I would recommend you seal it with something before you throw any silicone on it. The insulation board or the EVA foam is kind of porous, and the silicone from that will grab onto those pores and make it kind of difficult to demold. So seal it pretty well in a number of different ways. All right. Thank you, Epic Studio. Here's one from Fearless Facade. Oh, this was one specific to you, and I hear this question frequently. Fearless Facade wants to know, what video editing software do you guys use, and what can you recommend for beginners?
Honestly, you'd probably be better off with any recommendation from you, because if you ask an editor from my specific generation of editors, we are still stuck in a terrible quandary, because for about 10 years, Final Cut Pro was the affordable editing solution, like the most popular, the most respected, Final Cut Pro 1 through 7. And then Apple decided to burn that software to the ground and reinvent it as Final Cut Pro X, which has nothing to do with the previous Final Cuts at all, and is based on the iMovie format and code and layout. And so basically, you have a bunch of editors who loved Final Cut Pro for 10 years and now have been abandoned by Apple on that. So probably the closest thing to Final Cut Pro is Adobe Premiere. As far as someone starting out, I know Adobe Premiere used to have Adobe Premiere Elements, kind of like Photoshop Elements. I don't know if Adobe still has those Elements programs that are like a stripped down, cheaper version, but you could check that out. Otherwise, for beginners, I mean, you could really start probably learning on anything. What do you use, Bill?
I just use normal Premiere. I have the whole Creative Cloud subscription thing because I use almost all of their software, so it makes sense for me to have the whole subscription to it.
Sure.
I actually never used Final Cut Pro. I was only recently converted into a Mac guy, so I just used Premiere for most everything.
Yeah, and I will say, I'll probably end up switching to Premiere. I mean, traditionally it was funny because hardcore video editors would usually use a bunch of Adobe software, After Effects, Photoshop, and then Final Cut Pro. However, I think a lot of people are going to have to be, some have already switched to Premiere, some will be. The main thing is what you'll find out. I like Mac and PCs. They both have their pluses and minuses, and usually it's the exact same thing. That's a plus and a minus. And on Mac, what you find is you have a very limited spectrum of their hardware, whereas opposed to PCs where you have a million different types of PCs out there, like literally a million different builds. So it's kind of hard to take a piece of software and make it work well across all those million different, snowflakes of computers. Whereas Mac, it's very streamlined, it's very simplified, so there's less compatibility issues. You end up having a little bit more reliability. And if you're working on feature film, you're probably working on it for like a year. You have to have the most reliable machine you possibly can. And then on top of that, if it was Apple-made software like Final Cut Pro, made for a very limited range of hardware, it was so reliable. And then, of course, like I said, Apple sort of abandoned us on the Final Cut Pro front. So I will say, if the person asking the question hasn't chosen a platform yet, just wanted to let you know that's sort of the justification of why a lot of editors are on Mac. But really, if you have a badass gaming PC, I mean, you can edit on that, and that'll be a good choice too.
Mm-hmm. As far as free software, there isn't really like for some things like for 3D modeling, there's Blender, which is a free 3D modeler. I used Maya. That's what I learned on. So Blender is not my preferred way to do it, but there's a free version. Or for like 2D vector drawing, you could buy Adobe Illustrator, or you could get Inkscape, which is free. Now, I use Inkscape, but I like it a lot. There is no free counterpart for video editing. There isn't that same thing, unfortunately, for people. So, yep, I would recommend ponying up to a subscription to Premiere.
Yeah, I don't know if you do have a Mac. I don't know if iMovie comes with the iLife or the iLife suite or whatever. I don't know. Even though I've used Mac for a long time, I've never really gotten into their consumer level products. So,
yeah,
but it might come with iMovie.
Well, good luck with your video editing endeavors, Fearless Facade. The next question here is from Don't Try This at Home. He says this question is from Micah. He wants to know if Beat Down Boogie is your full-time occupation, or do you have other titles and occupations?
Yeah, well, I quit my day job last year, around about this time, maybe a little, not quite a year ago. And I still do some freelance video work to help make ends meet. I definitely was getting better pay plus benefits when I had a day job, but I was really passionate about spending more time to build Beat Down Boogie, so I left the day job, and now I just kind of make ends meet, but it's a much more happy, satisfying lifestyle. And just in the past few months, we've kind of got it where with our ad revenue, like my immediate needs are covered and it's kind of steady, and now our next step is to get that revenue actually going up so that I can improve my life, improve the Beat Down Boogie equipment, and pay other people for their time and not just me.
Yep, living the dream, they call that. Cool. Thank you for your question. Don't try this at home. All right, this next one here is from Rev. Oh, that's got to be my buddy. Matt, I think. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Rev Chumley. Let's see. I heard you had room issues at Dragon Con this year. Are you coming this year, or you'll be at least be there having a team shooting? I don't know what we could do without a really long video.
I'm not sure if I will be at Dragon Con this year. And if I'm not, there probably won't be anything on the Beat Down Boogie channel. However, the Beat Down Boogie's producer, Blake, runs the Distractotron channel. And I know the guy that asked the question is involved with a lot of the big superhero shoots. And Blake actually posts all the big superhero shoot videos on his channel, Distractotron. So there will be some videos made and put on the Distractotron channel as far as I know. For me, I just, you know, since I did quit my day job, funny enough, I've been kind of wanting to quit it to focus on Beat Down Boogie, but last year I did not have the vacation days to go to Dragon Con. And that's when I left my job. So it's like, well, I'm going to go to Dragon Con. So you can either give me more vacation days or I'm going to have to resign. And they call my bluff. So that has allowed me to focus on Beat Down Boogie. But since I'm making far less money than when I had the day job, I kind of need to take a year to reinvest in equipment. I'm not really happy with the kind of resolution my camera is at, and I would just like to improve some of our gear, and Dragon Con is very expensive, so it would be nice to maybe take a year off. I still tried to go. I tried to apply as a guest, even though they have really big guests at Dragon Con. I was like, I still have, you know, web series that like millions of people watch, and like I'm kind of in Atlanta, like I kind of have my own little celebrity for making these videos, but and if I got qualified as a guest, they might be able to give me a room at Dragon Con, so I could keep investing in my gear and film Dragon Con, because I have a lot of new ideas that I think would be fun to bring to Dragon Con, but I don't think I got approved as a guest. So I just need to take a little time to upgrade my equipment so that I can stay relevant. Like if I shoot in slow motion, my camera can only do 720p, which is like the bottom possible resolution right now. Like it's just not, to me, it's just not good enough. So really want to upgrade my gear. So I might take a pass on Dragon Con this year.
Well, that would suck. But I totally understand needing new gear.
Yeah, on the other hand, our cast, like Brian and Matt and Jared and Alina and Chris, will probably be there partying and drinking with everybody. So as far as if you want to party with them, you'll be in luck.
Oh, good. All right. Let's see here. The next question here. Let's see. Oh, this was Epic Studio again, wants to seal his gun for molding. He says PVA glue, Epsilon, or Plasti Dip. I would say depending on the finish that you want. I would, if I'm going to mold something, then I would like to give it a nice rigid finish. Something like Epsilon would do that. I would put a couple layers on, sand it, probably another couple layers on, sand it down to a nice finish, maybe prime it and sand it a couple times before mold making. So there you go. And then here's and then let's go over here. I have questions over there and over there. It's crazy. This one's from Sam. He says this year one of his goals is make a step towards becoming a pro prop maker and making some resin casts to sell. He's never made a mold. He's gotten different opinions on what silicone and resin to use. And he wants me to know what silicones I like to use. Well, there are about 1 million different types of silicones and resins, and I would say if you're just getting started, any tin cure silicone is going to be a little cheaper. So maybe you want to start with that. Start making small, like 1-part molds, and so for smooth on, it might be like Mold Max 30 would be a good one to start with. And then for the resins, I like Smoothcast 300. It's good general purpose silicone or resin, urethane resin that you can tint and it cures in about 10 minutes. It's good stuff. So there's a couple of things that you can use to get started. You can get trial kits on Smooth On's website to play with at home. All right, there you go, Sam. All right, here we go. This one's from Mina. This one's from Micah. You have a lot of convention videos on your channel. Did you know that, Micah? You have a lot.
Yeah.
What's the decision? Yes. What's the decision-making process on deciding which ones to go to? This is a good one.
Yeah. I've never really thought about it. I started filming conventions because I went to Dragon Con one year. I was in their film festival with a short film I had made. I didn't know anything about comic book conventions. In fact, I kind of had this bad stereotypical, oh, I'm sorry, I live next to a train track, so I don't know if you can hear.
No, we're not. I don't think I can get it. No.
Probably not on this little microphone. But I went to Dragon Con. I expected it to be this very stereotypical comic book convention like you see on a sitcom or something. And I was a geek and everything, but I just thought I was going to be way out geeked. And I was blown away by like what an amazing party of talented, awesome, creative, fun people it was. So the next year I went to Dragon Con, I brought my camera and I filmed it just to convince my friends to come. And then I posted that on YouTube, and everyone started using it for the same reason, to convince their friends to come to Dragon Con. And then I thought, man, I'm going to start doing this at other conventions. And I assumed I had invented this at the time. I didn't know other people were already doing this. So I thought this is going to be amazing. And so I literally just typed into Google, like, what's the, I'm on the East Coast. So it's like, what's the best anime convention on the East Coast? What's the best party con, which is Dragon Con? What's the best steampunk convention on the East Coast? And I just started making a list, and whichever ones were easy to get to, because I'm kind of in between Atlanta and Washington, D.C., I would just kind of go to those. So like Katsucon, MagFest, MomoCon, Anime Week in Atlanta. There's one in Raleigh that I covered once. So really it's been whatever's convenient. And then this past year, I actually told people I was going to kind of chill out on conventions because I want to focus on making more short films. And as soon as I did that, all these people like Bill Duran show up and it's like, hey, if we can get you out to this convention, would you be interested? And kind of giving me these opportunities that were very attractive. So now some of the conventions I go to is because it's easy and it's fairly local for me, and others is because I get some kind of invitation out there that that's hard to turn down.
Yeah.
So if you know some people that are throwing a convention in Hawaii, send me an invite to like Hawaii or Japan or Italy or
there's
something.
a Hawaii con, and I very much want to get invited to that.
Invite this dude to talk about props and invite me to film it.
That's right.
I will even wear a grass skirt, or I don't know. I guess
I'll wear whatever they want me to wear. I'm for it. I have no shame. Thank you, Mina, for your question. Let's see over here. This one's from my wife, Brittany. She wants to know a little bit about what it took to design and learn the fight choreography for your new Avengers film.
I mean, that's a pretty big topic for me, so I'll just try to keep it brief because
sure.
I don't know if you know this, but I can ramble.
Is that a fact?
So we've gotten pretty good at doing our normal type of fight scenes, which is sort of more brawling, realistic type fight scenes. And then we wanted to do a classic old school Kung Fu fight scene, which is much different because you're basically throwing the strikes and the blocks all at the same time. It's much more like a dance. It's much more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 at the same tempo. And whereas in a normal fight scene, you would never want to throw a block the same time as the strike because it looks like you're expecting the strike. It looks like it's telegraphing. So we got together for a day just to figure out what that tempo is like and to figure out if we could pull it off. And then probably took about a day to, pull all the fight ideas together. And then a day to shoot it. But it wasn't like one day. I just mean like it was probably like 12 hours divided up over a few days because there's a story concept, the narrative you need for your fight, which is like, what's the flow of this fight going to be? Like maybe the first third, the protagonist is going to be in trouble getting his butt kicked. And then the second third, he starts to come back. He finds an advantage. And then the last third, he dominates. So with this one, with the Avengers, it's like, how do we use their weapons? How do we use their unique abilities and come up with that narrative of how the fight will shift and turn? And then we just have to think of what's the actual moves that will fill out those sections. And for that, I actually just watched a ton of old movies, a ton of old Kung Fu flicks, and thought, hey, I kind of like these exchanges, but I don't want to use them directly. Like, how would this work if Iron Man was doing it? How would he do that differently? So a lot of it I just, ripped off of old Kung Fu films, but that's how film is made, ripping other older films off.
Yes. Now, do most of you guys have martial arts training? Because you guys are all pretty good at that stuff.
Yeah, sure. Brian teaches Kung Fu, and he also teaches some Filipino martial arts, which is like stick and knife fighting. And Matt teaches Muay Thai. He doesn't, I don't think, yeah, he currently coaches Muay Thai at an MMA gym. It's like a jiu-jitsu gym, and he teaches striking there. I'm a bit of a mutt because I used to train in Kung Fu and Filipino stuff like Arnie stick fighting. But I've always just hung around a lot of different martial artists, so I try to pick up a little bit of this and that, but I'm really out of shape and I'm not a great fighter. Ironically, I'm always the one that, when I used to live in a rougher city, I'd always be hanging around a bunch of amazing martial artists, and somehow I was always the one that ended up having to control situations when things got rough.
The Micah the Enforcer!
Yeah, I'm very happy to live a much softer, more chill lifestyle here in a very easy, laid-back city.
Brett also wants to know if you frequently see people cosplaying the characters from your videos.
Yeah, most of all Mario Warfare. I would say for at least the past year and a half or 2 years, I don't think I've been to a convention where there wasn't at least someone cosplaying from Mario Warfare. And I've seen pictures on the internet of whole groups of Mario Warfare cosplayers all around the world. And to me, that's an awesome feeling. And my crew kind of realized recently, like, if I'm good at anything, it's coming up with sort of a spin on a character or a design for a character and a personality for that character that make people want to cosplay that character. And I'm very happy with that. That's if that's all I do, like the Kung Fu Avengers, the Caveman Assassin's Creed, it's another short I did, Mario Warfare, and even some people cosplayed my first web series, Modern Wargear Solid. But if all I do is make like cool little funny character driven shorts that people want to cosplay, that would make me super happy.
Cool. Thank you, Britt, for the questions. This next
Big
one here.
Big shout out to Mario Warfare Philippines, by the way. They're probably like the group that has put the most effort into doing the entire cast.
I gotta look this up now. Philippines.
Yeah, I think they had their own Facebook. I think it's called Mario Warfare Philippines.
It sure is. Look at this. Boop.
Yeah, they've done their own versions of our posters and everything. They're really great.
Amazing. That's cool. That's really cool.
And the other thing is that's really cool is occasionally people make improvements to the costumes and the characters, which is really awesome. At Katsucon, there was this Peach, and I'm not exactly sure if she was inspired by our series or not, but she had blue shells for like shoulder pauldrons, and I've definitely seen some people, and I'm not sure if she was cosplaying from our series or not, but I've definitely seen people take directly from our series but improve upon it, which is awesome because usually I'm limited in my costuming ability and I'm having to juggle like a billion things to make a film because I am basically the pre-production part of our team. So I had to, write scripts, storyboard, get, arrange locations, make costumes, and all that, props and all that stuff.
All right, this next one is from Ashley. Question is, apparently this was someone dressed as Nathan Drake. I imagine this last weekend. Let's see here. When you choose to go to a convention, is there any prep time? Like, what's it take for you to get ready to go to a convention?
Now it's very easy. Basically just charge my camera batteries, make sure all my memory cards are with me, make sure I don't forget any like plates for like any camera mounts or any screws or anything, which that's the easiest thing to leave behind, which will completely mess me over for the weekend. But I've actually...
or go ahead.
Oh, a checklist? Is that what you're going to say?
No, I was thinking, do you have like external hard drives or anything to keep like video data backed up?
Yeah, if my floor wasn't so messy, I would show you, but there are about 20 external hard drives here on the floor next to me because video is really, really big. But yeah, I've gotten actually pretty good at it to the point where this last trip to Chicago was such a last minute thing that I packed everything up perfectly, very quickly, and was headed to my car to drive to the airport. And I just don't believe that I can be that organized. Like, I'm not an organized guy. Like, it's just like, no, I have to be forgetting something. Like, I was trying to make myself forget something just so I could remember it. Like, but that's how much I've gotten this stuff down to go to a convention. However, I think that also means that I've kind of fallen into a pattern. And what I'd really like to do in the future is find a new approach to filming conventions. Definitely the next time I do make it to Dragon Con, whether it's this year or another year, I have a whole new concept for my Dragon Con video. And I definitely want to start trying new tricks and new ideas at conventions because, you know, it gets boring, I think, for people to watch the same thing over and over, and it gets boring for me. So I'm trying to challenge myself. And once I start doing those new ideas, then I'll be confused again about if I packed correctly.
Yep, I know for me, I've got a pretty good routine now. I've go to enough conventions where like I got my crates right there, all my costumes in it, and that's probably got my Draugr in it, probably just about ready to go. I could probably pick that up and run out the door, grab a couple things, and be ready for a convention. So I know I've got a pretty good routine down as well. I don't think I want to be changing my routine though. Before I show up at a convention without my undead underwear or something. All right, this one here comes from Downtime Props. Let's see here. He says he wants to talk about tools, props and stuff. He just bought a disc belt sander combo from Harbor Freight. When he uses it, he gets a lot of fuzz on the foam. Do you have any tricks for minimizing the fuzz? Micah, do you have any power tools to work on prop stuff? What do you prefer to work with?
Well, I actually haven't used that many power tools. I usually use a hacksaw a lot, most frequently. We are known for our buffers. Beat Down Boogie is known for using car buffers,
Yeah,
but not on props and costumes.
no.
So hopefully, do you know about that?
No, I don't.
Buffer thing? We give massages to people at cons with power tool car buffers.
Oh, jeez.
But we can't bring them on the planes with us. So the next time you're on the East Coast, you'll have to get buffed.
All right.
Anyway, sorry. Back to the question.
All right, I will. There's actually a really good video that Evil Ted did on using different grits of sandpaper. He'll use a stick of wood with different grits of sandpaper on it to sort of defuzz the edge of a foam thing that he's working on. He'll go all the way down to like 320. And then he likes to use a blowtorch to sort of singe the edge of it, but you could also use a heat gun once it's once it's as defuzzed as possible. But if you go look at Evil Ted's YouTube channel, or we'll put a link to his video in the description, you can go check that out. Cool. Yep. And here's one. Actually, here's one from Micah. This one's from my buddy Kevin. You probably saw him at C2E2.
I did.
Yes, he says, when you're shooting convention videos, do you typically stick with a single lens on your DSLR, or do you swap between them?
I tend to swap a lot because I like to have a set of prime lenses, which for you non-photography people, a prime lens is a lens that doesn't zoom. It's one fixed length, and it tends to be simpler because there's less moving pieces. So you can actually get a sharper image generally with a prime lens, and you can get lower light. And fast is a word that describes a lens that's good at low light. And fast would be like a low f-stop on a lens. So I like to have a set of lenses that's prime and fast because I end up partying a lot at night at these conventions, and it's very low light, and I need to be able to film stuff. However, the other way I've seen people video cons is to have that kind of deep focus, wide angle zoom lens. A lot of people like to use the 16mm to 35mm zoom lens. And those are usually the videos where people have really beautiful, smooth motion around cosplayers, where they're swirling around, they're showing a lot of the environment. They're showing all these different angles of the cosplay. So it just depends what style you're going for. But traditionally in old school film, in old school motion picture, when you have big 35mm film cameras, you're going to have a set of prime lenses. And I don't know, because I'm not from that generation, but for some reason there's something romantic about that, about switching out your fixed lenses. So that's what I do.
Yeah, and if you need to zoom, you just walk closer.
That's exactly what you do.
Kevin also wants to know if you have any tips for shooting in tightly packed spaces when you're surrounded by lots of people.
I guess
besides going, get out of my way.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't
guess
you know who I am?
You could go one or two ways. If you're kind of stuck really close to your subject, where you just don't have much room to get away from them, you're just going to have to go with a really wide angle lens. But the only thing about that is it's going to make the focus deeper, so you're going to see details, more details in the surroundings. The other option would to actually be to get a long lens with a low f-stop, so that you have really shallow focus, so that the background and the foreground is really blurry. And then you would just have to talk to your subject and be like, hey, I'm going to go over there, and once there's a break in the crowd, like do some stuff or be on this video. And that way, even though it's really crowded, you could have like some people, you know, a foot or two behind your subject, but they're out of focus and your subject's in focus. And I think in my prettier videos, that's what I tend to do. I tend to use longer, shallow lenses and do something like that. But it takes a lot of directing. In fact, I have a lens that is the extreme version of that I've never used at a convention. And I'm hoping to, but I'm gonna have to bust out a tripod, and I'm gonna have to probably even have an assistant, because I'm gonna have to get about 50 feet away from someone and say, hey, when you can see me through the crowd, when the crowd breaks, do stuff.
What lens is that?
It's the Canon 135mm f2.
Yeah.
And there was kind of a really popular anime convention filmer named Axon L. He's since retired from filming conventions, but he recommended that lens to me, and I've used it for a lot of my film work. It's so lovely, but it's really tricky to use at a convention. But when I do, you'll know, because you'll not have seen anything like it, and it'll be really beautiful. And the only reason I haven't used it yet is the conventions that would be really good for it haven't allowed me to have a tripod in the convention. So.
Yeah, if you're hand holding something at 135mm, it's gonna be shaky.
I don't have steady hands. So
no.
That's exactly right.
And I mean, especially if you have to hold a drink in the other hand, it gets really challenging.
Well, the drink helps smooth out the motion a little, but then the caffeine jacks it right back up. So it's a tricky tightrope that I walk.
All right, thank you, Kevin, for your question. The next one, oh, this is a good one. This is from Don't Try This at Home. Wants to know, what would you put in your beginner kit for the indie filmmaker? What sort of gear?
I
would imagine, yeah, some kind of camera. Yeah,
some sort of editing system.
Possibly a computer.
Yeah. Or I just edit on this cardboard box here. I don't know if you can see it back there. I really think, as far as like beginning filmmaker, what you have to do is figure out what's your strong suit. For us, it was definitely action. We're still not the greatest at acting for the most part. Like, we have some actors that work with us who are pretty good, but as far as me and Matt and Brian, we like to do all the kung fu and stuff, and we're still learning the acting side. So we picked out equipment and stuff that fits the action. So find something you're good at and focus on that, because you can make it look good. And if you have a good looking product, no matter how simple it is, no matter how short it is, if it looks good, you can talk to people and say, this is what I did. Will you help me with the next one? Or would you let us use your location, or this and that? And they can see the product and they think, oh, he's serious about this because this looks good. It might not be my cup of tea, but at least it's quality. So I'd say, as far as whatever lenses you have, whatever computer, whatever camera, it just has to fit your specialty and your strong suit, and then you can expand from there. What I like to do is, every new project I work on, pick one thing that I suck at and try to improve on that or try to use a new technique. Because if I approach a project and I just try to tackle a whole lot of things I'm not good at, it's just going to be terrible. Like the end product is going to be terrible. It's going to be me doing stuff I'm not good at.
Yep. I would definitely recommend learning a bit about the strong, this, like if you're picking out a camera, for example, what's that one particular camera good at, right? So like, don't blow all your money on like a camera just because it's the best one. And it turns out it's like really just for sports photography. You just blew $5,000. Or same thing with lenses. It's really easy to blow a lot of money on like a really good lens and then never use it because it turns out it's like that 135 millimeter prime lens is it's got a very small use case.
Yeah, it's very much a specialty item versus a 30 millimeter lens.
Yeah.
If you're on like a crop sensor camera, 30 millimeter lens is gorgeous to use for almost everything you would do on a film. And if you're on a full sensor lens, maybe you'd swap that out for like a 50 millimeter or 35 millimeter lens. I like the 35 a lot. But yeah, that one lens is very rare, as beautiful as it is, and it's expensive too. I would say, no, I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead, Bill.
Oh, good question. Don't try this at home. Pick something that will work well for you. Okay, this next one is from John. Oh, this is an interesting one. Have you ever tried to replicate heat staining metal before? He recently tried on Star-Lord blasters for a friend and couldn't get the colors quite right. It just looked more like dirt and grime weathering as opposed to blackening and discoloration. Yeah. So like if you have your muffler, right? Like the end of it's going to be all heat. Just like it could be purple or gold. Like if it was chrome, it'll get stained from different colors or probably with soot. The end of Star-Lord's blasters are kind of like purpley, like goldish purpley. Anyway, you could spray your base metallic color on with whatever paint you want, and then use inks. Believe it or not, use ink to stain your metal out of an airbrush and apply. And you can do a nice gradient on it. You can do lots of really neat stuff with that. There's a Stan Winston video on paint doing metallic finishes that's really good. We'll find that and put a link to that into the description. It's got some really good information about coloring metallic finishes with ink. So there you go, John. Some things for you to try out.
No, I have one more thing to add to that last question. Don't
Yes.
try this at home. This will be quick. Don't sleep on audio. Like audio is something that everyone sucks at. Audio quality is something I definitely suck at as far as field recording. We're very good at dubbing. Like we have a great studio setup for dubbing, but we're terrible at recording audio in the field. And I would say that's one of the biggest differences in quality when you see like amateur video out there. So, and it's one of those things where like you can't get, it's almost impossible to find someone that's going to come help you with field recording for free, because it's a job that has like no glory. It really isn't fun. You'll find free actors, you'll find free stuntmen, you'll find free everything that's like fun, and people are like, oh, who is that actor? Who is that? Who is the writer? Who is the director? Who is the stuntman? But no one's ever like, who was holding the boom pole? Yeah. So those guys you're gonna have to pay, like if you're starting out or whatever, probably, unless you learn it yourself. So definitely learn about audio, because it's gonna be one of the trickiest things you can do, and no one wants to do it for free.
Yep. I have my own set of challenges. I have like a mixing board here for this microphone, and making that work with my computer is the most difficult thing I have to do for this freaking show. All right. Let's see here. A quick one. This one's from Eminatas. I'm sorry. I don't know how to say your name. I apologize. Anyway, what material would you recommend for making a katana and scabbard for cosplay? You guys, kung fu guys, ever make any swords?
I mean, traditionally wood, I guess, is popular in training swords and stuff like that. There's a lot of polymers being used now in training weapons, Like a company called Cold Steel makes a lot of polymer swords, but some of them are actually heavier than their steel counterpoints because they're a little thicker to be safe and I guess for durability.
So you could
the
say
only things I know.
Yeah,
aluminum. I mean, you could use. You could. I mean, if you know how to use aluminum, you could make a dulled blade, or out of a metal like aluminum. But I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. I like making for like prop stuff. I'll use like poplar wood, something with a not MDF, but something with a wood grain in it to give it a little structure. Yeah, so like 1/2-inch poplar wood's pretty good. You really just need like a jigsaw and a sander to clean it up to do a lot of the work on that. So that's what I would say. Wood. Use wood. Thank you. I'm on
I feel like this is probably me being a total cheater here because of how I make costumes for my films. But I'm very curious like what the details of that katana would be. If it's a really particular looking katana from like an anime or something, only because if it's slightly regular, there's so many choices out there of like pre-made props and training weapons you could get, or even to build upon. But when I make costumes, I kind of just take things that already exist and staple them together.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. This one is from someone called Developing Cosplay. Hoping that I get to go to New Zealand for one of their conventions. Yes, I hope I get to go to New Zealand for a convention too. Let's see here. And by the way, folks, we'll put a link in the description. There's a contact form on punishprops.com. If you want me to go to a convention, like anywhere in the world, let me know. Get me in touch with the people who make the decisions at that convention. And I would be happy to go there, put on some panels, do costume contest stuff. Yeah, I would love to do that. We can work stuff out. What's the actual question? I use plastic coat, similar to Plasti Dip, on top of wood glue over Warbler. I noticed that the subsequent weathering I did with acrylic paint didn't adhere well to the plastic coat. I think it was because of the glossy finish. Any tips to help weathering apply better? I'm willing to bet that plastic coat is used as a barrier to protect whatever it is you're making. So you may want to hit that with a primer first. Let's see, or something like, what's it called? Krylon Fusion, which binds really well to plastic. Do that first, and then go over that with your acrylic. That's what I would recommend trying. Do some test on a small piece, of course, beforehand. And also they're saying that the plastic coat was glossy. Yeah. You may be able to, I don't know, it depends on the finish of the plastic coat. You may be able to rough it up a little bit with sandpaper first. To get a little better grip on your paint there. So there's a couple things for you to try. Okay. We've got about 5 minutes left, so let's tackle just a couple more questions here, and then we will get out of here. All right. This one is from Jack Brick. What type of clear coat do you use to seal your paint? Do you to do a final coat on or under proper armor? Sorry, I don't know why that was so hard for me to read. Picked up some Rust-Oleum satin clear enamel from Lowe's, but it cracks when flexed. I have a bunch of different clear coats that I use. One that's really good is let me see if I can remember it. I think Krylon makes it. Krylon. Yeah, Krylon number 1311 matte finish. That one's pretty good. I would highly recommend that one right there. And if you've got armor that's going to flex a lot, you may consider sealing it with Plasti Dip. They make a clear Plasti Dip. That's what I would go with on the ceiling there. And also, enamels are gonna crack. Enamels kind of make like a hard protective shell around whenever you're painting, so I definitely wouldn't use that. There you go, Jack Brick. Another one from Don't Try This at Home, who's bringing the good video centric questions. Wants to know if you're becoming an indie film entertainer / YouTube sensation. His words, not mine. What are some of the milestones? Like what are some of the goals you've got along the way? Micah?
Well, we just kind of accidentally stumbled into it because I had kind of given up on my dreams of being a filmmaker, because I dabbled a little bit in the industry and I really didn't like the business side of things. I didn't like how the traditional film industry worked. So I kind of quit that dream and just took a job editing in an office. And when the SLR came out, I was like, oh, these are fun. Let's make a little film for fun. And I called my stunt buddies. It's like, let's do a little action film. And I was like, since this film doesn't matter, it's just a test, let's put Snake and Ghost in it, because those were the two video games I was playing at the time. And as we shot it, we're like, this is really funny. We should let people watch this because they would get a kick out of it. So let's just put it on YouTube. And then it got like 1 million views in a short amount of time. And I was like, wow, I guess this is what I'm doing now. Like, I'm just doing stuff that entertains me, that I would never be allowed to do in the traditional film industry, just make parodies and stuff. And so yeah, as far as milestones, it's like we weren't expecting that initial 1 million views, but then it's tricky because, if you get 1 million views, the next milestone isn't 2 million, it's like maybe 10 million or,
right.
I think Blake, my producer, just posted that we just got 450,000 subscribers on YouTube. But like, I'm not going to post till we get 500,000 because it's like, it's just not that milestone, I don't know. That's the best answer I have. I guess it could be because it becomes a lot about analytics. Once you're a YouTuber, it becomes a lot about the numbers, and the numbers also help when it comes to sponsors, when it comes to like whether you get press passes at conventions. It's really easy when you don't have to beg someone to hear you out. Even if you have really great artistic ideas, it's really easy once you're just like, here's my numbers for this past month, like yes or no. So I guess milestones, they do kind of become important.
They do, yeah. You also want to just kind of keep an eye out for like what people would call vanity metrics, where it feels good to say that you got X amount of this or that, but you want to analyze what that number really means to you in your business and how valuable it really is. So for me, the number of customers I had last month, that metric is very important to me. How many customers did I have last month versus the month before? And as a YouTuber, you might think like, oh, the video I did yesterday got a ton of views. Like, yes, but how much did all of your videos do over the entire month? Or, how much growth was there between like last month and this month? Try not to focus on just like the one metric that feels the best or that sounds the most impressive. Look for things that are set goals that are more long-term, that are more useful for you as a person growing a business. And I didn't click the button on that, but that's fine. Cool. And then Epic Studio says it's 2 a.m. here, so I need to crash later. Bye. Right. And then finally, Ashley wants to know, would you ever consider coming back to Chicago for C2E2? And if you do that convention, and we're talking about Anime Central, would you ever attend a convention, maybe Wizard World Chicago? What would it take to get you back out there again, Micah?
I guess the same thing you offer me to come to Portland. A lot of prostitutes and cocaine.
That's right. That's the going rate.
I would like to check out ASIN. I really enjoyed C2E2. But I will say, starting with Dragon Con and going to a lot of the East Coast, I guess, as far as all the convention videographers go, I'd say if we had a reputation for anything as Beat Down Boogie, it'd probably be the party con guys and filming the party cons, because we like to go out late at night. I love to dance. I like to express myself physically with tequila and a dance floor. And it's like C2E2 was really cool, but the nightlife scene was like a little more laid back versus like Dragon Con, Capsicon, Colossal Con, stuff like that. But I heard that ASIN has a little bit more of a party scene at night and nightlife scene and stuff like that. I'm nocturnal, so I just like to be up at night hanging out with people. But But I would probably go back. I would definitely go back to Emerald City because I enjoyed Seattle so much. Except that all the people I met in your neighborhood who were visiting from Portland were like, yeah, Seattle's all right, but Portland's cooler. So I kind of had to check out Portland now at some point too.
You do. It's cool. All right. Well, thank you, Ashley. And thank you, everyone else who brought your wonderful questions to the show today. It's been a great hour here with Micah. Thank you, Micah, for being here, sir.
Thank you.
Once again, if folks want to go over to youtube.com/beatdownboogie and check out what they've got going on over there and support their Patreon, damn it. They're making good stuff. Come on, guys. I'm going to do it. As soon as we log off here, I'm going to go support that Patreon. And until next time, you guys, thank you again and go out and make some stuff. All right.
Yes. Thanks so much.
Bye.